started, I want to make sure that we just go over a couple of announcements first. So one is you guys are doing an awesome job sharing the information about the PPP loan to the community. I know you're helping so many people. Don't forget our inspectors, our contractors, anybody who works in our home, anybody who has those businesses is going to qualify for that. And we need them to get in touch with their community lender ASAP. We got great information from Central Bank. We got great information from the Bank of Missouri. Many of you are working with Simmons, the other local lenders here in the area, and they just got some guidance yesterday on how to handle independent contractors and some guidance from SBA and Treasury. So they're really equipped today to kind of answer all those questions, so get in touch with them. Also, yesterday we had a great session with Jake Beasley from Given Accounting Services in our building, who kind of answered some tax questions. That video is posted inside the RE/MAX groups. Make sure you find that as well. Gloves, masks, sanitizer, and also booties. We've got the drive-through service, so you can come through and drive through those. Just contact Mary if you need those things, and we'll make sure that you have the equipment that you need to do everything safely that you need to do. And just for this week, a couple of training items coming up. We've got agent coaching live today with Roel Workman. If you haven't heard him, he's great, super tips. He's going to be live with Amy Somerville, and that's at 11. And then on Friday, many of you love the Kevin Stokes series, and he's back again on Friday at 11, talking just more about video, social media, and again, how you can service and be the best that you can be. And on that, don't forget our videographer is out in the field weekly. So if you want more information, contact Mary. So you know my drill, 55555, share the information. And the information that you can share today is our interview with Kevin Sprouse. So Kevin, welcome to our RE/MAX Live Huddle. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Elizabeth. I really appreciate you and Ford asking me to do this.
Yes. So if you don't know, Kevin is Ford's brother. He doesn't have a brother. He just has me. Ford's brother. They've been great friends forever, and we've known each other. Oh my gosh, since
elementary school, pretty much.
School, yeah.
Just grew up down the street from each other, so.
That's right, and so it's exciting to see everything that you've done and being part of the community. So tell us. You're the CEO of Endovac. It's this company in town, which is this global powerhouse that we don't necessarily hear a lot about in the community, but in the world, you are doing amazing things. So what is the company all about?
Okay, well, just to kind of give you a little background, we've been around since the early 80s, started by my mom and dad, Ron and Dorothy Sprouse, and another family, Harold and Patsy Garner. My father was a microbiologist at the med school, and Dr. Garner was a equine vet at the vet school. And kind of ironically enough, our company got started off of grant money from Anheuser-Busch. So all those kings of beers that you drank over the years helped us get started. And that's because laminitis is a prevalent disease in horses. Specifically draft horses, which are your Clydesdales. And so that's where Anheuser-Busch had their interest in finding a prevention for that disease. And it's brought on by a gram-negative bacterial infection. Forgive me if I get off into the weeds a little bit every once in a while, but I'm trying to help people understand the difference between a virus, or a bacterial infection. So, but yeah, so we started in the early 80s. My family ended up buying the Garners out in the mid 90s. But what we primarily do is we make vaccines that prevent gram-negative bacterial infections in animals, primarily production livestock. So in the dairy industry, mastitis is caused by E. coli. You're familiar with that. I'm sure most people have heard of E. coli. Salmonella is also a gram-negative bacterial infection. A lot of these things are prevalent. They're pathogens that exist in our production livestock. So, like I said, I can get off in the weeds, and I apologize, but I'm going to talk about diarrheas and all sorts of different things that these bugs cause.
I think we're all having these conversations we never thought we would have because of Corona. So go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the company started with my father and Dr. Garner, and both families, or they had 4 kids and we had 3 kids, so that was a lot of cheap labor. A lot of the building was built. Our original building was built by the Garners and the Sprouse kids and their families. It is truly an entrepreneurial, family-built business, and I'm actually fortunate to be sitting here in our brand new facility that we opened up. That came online a week ago on Monday. So that's exciting after 40 some years.
Easier or harder to move it in the quarantine environment?
It definitely caused some scheduling issues as far as, we've got a lot of equipment, highly technical equipment that people are supposed to come in and help us train on,
Okay.
and they haven't been able to come in because of the virus issue. So that's caused some hiccups in the transition. We've had to do a lot more video conferencing, things like this, trying to figure out how to get some of our equipment online and up and running. So that's definitely been a speed bump that we've had to deal with. But we're also so enthusiastic or so excited to be in the new facility. And if you would see what we came from and what we're now in, you would understand our excitement. And so it's kind of belittled it a tad bit, but not too much. And we've been able to work through it.
That's cool. That's cool. Real estate's always a good investment. So the products that you distribute, you do horses.
We do. We have a vaccine that's our original product, was a vaccine that prevented gram-negative infections in horses. Like I said, that's laminitis. That's a number of gastrointestinal issues. Horses, it's kind of ironic. They say healthy as a horse, but a horse actually has a very weak immune system. So it's funny that that cliche has played out over the years. But so that's where we started. Our biggest product prevents mastitis in dairy cattle. That's probably about 70% of our revenue. We introduced a beef vaccine in 2013 that has consistently been our biggest growth over the past 5 years. And then we've had a swine vaccine that we've started putting some marketing and advertising behind, and that's really started to take off as well. So like I said, we exist primarily in production livestock, but we do have a product that is used in dogs that treats parvovirus. Fortunately, in the United States, that's not very prevalent because of all of our pups get vaccinated pretty early, like as soon as they hit the ground for parvo. But yeah, that's essentially our product list.
So would I be over exaggerating if I said that like every cow on the planet might have your vaccination in them?
I wish. That would be nice. But we're working towards that.
But a lot, is it all produced in Columbia?
It is. It is. It's all manufactured right here. We've got a 20 acre campus right out by KOMU TV station. It sits on the front 20 acres of about 600 acres of a family farm that we have. And yeah, it's all manufactured right here. And in our new facility, we're actually interested in getting into contract manufacturing, because we have a lot of existing capacity at this point in time that we didn't have before. But it's also why we're looking at expanding our international markets as well. Sure.
So a virus, you mentioned a little bit, what is the difference between a virus and a bacteria, and how do those differ and where we are with this corona piece of it?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, you get what you pay for. So bacteria is, like I said, E. coli, salmonella, things like that. A virus is, a lot of people would correlate it more towards the line of a cancer, to be quite honest. It's a mutation. And so you've got corona what is it, COVID-19, that could mutate tomorrow.
And we've heard that there's been a couple of mutations already.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas bacteria, you have an understanding that, okay, yeah, there are several thousands of different strains of E. coli, but those tend to not mutate. They're more defined. They actually have a cell structure, whereas a virus is literally just kind of it could be even a mineral fluctuation that is entirely different. But when you're dealing with bacteria, you've got your typical cell structure. You've got a cell membrane, you've got a nucleus, you've got mitochondria, you've got all of the different things that exist. Whereas a virus is literally could be something completely out of the ordinary, and you just don't understand it. And that's why I say a lot of people correlate it similarly to a cancer, because cancer, they talk about that, the cure for cancer. Every cancer is different. That's the problem. Cancer is just a mutation of a cell. And that's where people talk about viruses being very similar to a cancer, that it's a mutation of a cell, that you don't have your typical cell structure, like a cell membrane, the nucleus, all of those things that you can define.
Sure.
That's what makes it that much more tricky. That's why flu vaccines sometimes aren't very effective, because there are so many different variants out there of those viruses. Whereas, and like I said, I deal in the world of bacteria, a little bit in the world of viruses, because we're trying to develop some technology in the viral world. But you're talking about apples and oranges. It's just that much different. It's even more. You're talking about apples and elephants. It's that much different.
Well, and you mentioned the difference between, and you bring up the flu, and we had Ben Cornelius, who I know who does marketing at Boone Hospital, on last week. And he was, one of the things he mentioned is that since all of the social distancing has happened, they haven't had flu cases. And so if there was any component to kind of make the argument and say that social distancing is working and transmission is communal, there was a great piece of it to say how, while we still are now, our conversation is all about COVID, the conversation about the flu is really kind of been significantly minimized. And so we're just learning about all of these things right now.
Oh, for sure. No, and it's crazy to think about the word social distancing. Did we even know that word, months ago? But I think it's been a very good learning experience for people to understand that when we do interact, that, okay, wash your hands, stay clean. And those things are so important. I mean, it drives me nuts. I am a huge handshaker. I love to give hugs. This is social distancing is hopefully not going to be the long-term norm. But there are some things that I think there are some significant takeaways that we're going to get from this, and that is just be a little bit more careful.
Yeah. And who you're with, and just how you interact. So what about the virus is unique? I'm sure you're getting like trade publications and all the scientists are, talking on this. I mean, we know they are. So what's different about it?
Gosh. The unique thing, there's really nothing unique. It's got a little bit higher mortality rate, which we've all heard. As opposed to the flu, as far as if you contract it. I think that's what has scared so many people and has caused the I don't want to say hysteria, but it's definitely been a huge part. It's really not that unique. It's just, in my opinion, there were some things that were probably not shared originally. And and I'm not saying domestically. I'm saying that I think that probably some things were covered up in the initial outbreak in China. Dealing in China in the number of times that I have, I can understand that that they tend to not share information.
Yeah.
So there's some things like that that I think probably make it a little bit more unique. But in all honesty, it's a virus is a virus, and they're all unique in their own right.
But I think it's fascinating that you're saying that, because Ford and I, well, actually my dad, my joke during this whole thing has been, I heard it from somebody's brother's mother's sister, who knew.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in our instance, it's my dad's cousin who worked for the CDC for years and handled pandemics and handled massive viruses, worked in Africa during Ebola.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the comments, she's been kind of writing a commentary and kind of mapping out this pandemic. And one of the things that she has said is, it's not unique. Viruses act very similarly. And so it's easy to understand how a virus acts. There are certain characteristics that we know how, and so when you know that, you know what's coming. Then the question is whether or not you can admit to it
Mm-hmm.
and prepare for it, but you do kind of understand where things are going, because they do travel similarly and have, those similar paths. And so for you to not say it's unique kind of matches up with her
Mm-hmm.
phrasing of, we do know how this works. So if you're, doing what you're doing, vaccine or cure, or treatment, how would you combat this, and how are people thinking about this as they're approaching, the 7 plants or whatever Bill Gates is building in their bunkers and the scientists are working?
Viruses are very hard to treat. They're easier to prevent. So
that's a great line. Yeah.
I'll be quite honest. Up until a couple of years ago, there were no cures for any virus. I mean, I know there's a cure for the HPV3, herpes virus 3. At this point in time, there were just not cures for virals.
Mm-hmm.
Not that long ago. So there are preventatives. There are things that you can introduce to your immune system that will help you prevent it. And it's like I said, the flu vaccine, they try and pick 2 or 3 strains that are going to be what they predict statistically as prevalent that year, and put those into either vaccine or the nasal mist. As far as vaccinating everyone across the board, it's probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just impossible. But vaccinating the people that are at highest risk, I think is probably going to be the pathway that we go. And in all honesty, Elizabeth, that's not you and me. We're both healthy.
Right.
We're both, in that between the uprights, as far as we're not too young and we're not too old.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we're in a part of the country where we're not living on top of each other.
True.
That's another component of why we've seen, those bursts in New York and,
Mm-hmm.
and those large scale events that we know have happened where it's been conducive to spreading.
Sure, for sure. But no, I think in all honesty, the best solution will be a preventative.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also the world I live in. I live in a world of vaccines, and we're trying to prevent disease before it happens. So I probably have a little bit of a bias there, but I'd rather stay healthy and not get sick and then have to get treated for something.
Right. Yeah, so. I heard, I hope it's okay that I share this. Ford made the comment. He goes, yeah, if Kevin didn't have this building, he would have been off on an island somewhere, just like away from all of this. It's happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, do we need to leave? What's happening? But so far, I think Missouri's fared very well compared to other areas.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I'd probably just be off on an island if I could right now to begin with. My buddy Greg Logston keeps texting me. He's like, "When are we getting the hell out of here?"
Right. Yeah, we all can't wait to get on a plane, but there's still kind of that fear of what happens when we get on the plane and where are we going and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my number one question as we kind of wrap up here.
Mm-hmm.
They find a preventative, we find something to, inject or do or give to someone. How on earth does this get made, in a manner? I mean, how long does it take to make this and then get this spread throughout the planet? Because it's not just, it's got to be, okay, yes, you're going to hit your target people who need it first. Then there's the areas that need it first. Then there's the countries that need it. And until all that happens, am I going to Italy? What am I doing? And so how does that happen?
That's a tricky question. Nothing like this happens overnight. Mm-hmm. And even if we do develop a vaccine, it could switch tomorrow. So that virus could be different tomorrow. Sorry, I shouldn't be touching my nose or my face. I apologize. And so that's the tricky part to think about. Manufacturing, it's funny. Economically, it works out well for us because a lot of manufacturing is moving back to the States because of issues like this. Even before coronavirus started, there were quality control issues with manufacturing in India and China. That is one of the reasons why we speculated and built the building that we built. Okay. So development will primarily be through universities, would be my guess. Most drug development comes through universities. So I'm sure you've got your Cornells, you've got all of these different John Hopkins, all of these different prestigious research facilities that are working 24/7 on this project. I know they are, as a matter of fact. I guarantee they are. So how fast they can come up with a vaccine, and then to develop how fast you can produce that. If they do it inside of a year, I'd be surprised. Normally it's a 5-year process. Mm-hmm. Just to be quite honest. But the foot is on the gas pedal right now. And so, yeah.
We've watched auto manufacturers shift in producing ventilators. Mm-hmm. Do you shift from producing animal vaccinations to assisting in this overall production of a preventative for COVID?
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that we've gamed out for sure. Mm-hmm. If it's not necessarily COVID, it's something else that, so there's a facility that can manufacture the vaccine that prevents the coronavirus, but then they have to so they shift their resources to that direction. That opens up opportunities for other people.
Sure.
And so, yeah, no, that's definitely, I don't want to, this is.
You don't know. We don't know, right?
Yeah. And we were speculating opportunities beforehand because of, like I said, manufacturing moving back domestically because of quality control issues.
Okay.
This probably is only going to speed that up.
Cool.
Not that I'm cheering for that, but it's
right. Well, right. But it's going to take a worldwide effort and everyone participating in this to help get a handle on this.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what we've seen these amazing companies, come to the plate and step up and do things that we just have never seen before. And that's certainly one of the great byproducts of this. We cannot thank you enough for being with us here this morning. We're so appreciative.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you. I don't know if you guys saw, but in my new office, I've got a little whiteboard, and that's my rendition of the Remax balloon.
balloon. I love it. See, flying high. We could all be in a balloon above this right now. No, so grateful for your information. So grateful, of course, for your friendship. And I just had a friend who his dog had parvo, and now we tell him that was you. And I think, again, you know, sometimes you don't know what's in your own backyard, and we're just so grateful for everything you're doing, but most of all, what you do for the community and certainly for my family. So thanks, Kevin.
Right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. So that's it, guys. Another amazing Wednesday. I hope you have a great day. As always, focus on your core, reaching out to the community. That's what we're doing with Kevin, and learning what's going on in the community, sharing that great real estate information, because, you know, everyone, of course, is interested in their real estate information and what's happening. And as a RE/MAX agent, you are the best resource for that. And certainly ending every day with a lot of energy, sharing your energy to the world, giving your energy to your clients, conserving the energy for yourself so that you can be the best you can be. We love you all. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.